The Council of Stars. The celestial forum hung in the void like a wound of light, a sphere of metal and glass 20 kilometers wide, orbiting the cold blue star of Val'karr Prime. Within its shimmering walls, hundreds of alien species gathered in tiers of luminous balconies, the air thrumming with the hum of translation fields and restrained arrogance. At the chamber's heart stood a single figure of flesh and carbon steel, Captain Elias Ward, humanity's representative. He looked painfully small beneath the vaulted spires of alien architecture, a man in a worn black suit, collar slightly frayed, the faint scent of tobacco cutting through the sterile air. He wasn't a politician. He had been a soldier once, back when Earth still fought over continents instead of colonies. The scars across his knuckles and the faint tremor in his left hand reminded him of that. Representative of Sol, the voice of the Val'karr Empress Seraphine 9 rippled through the chamber, magnified and honeyed by the Council's acoustic field. She was towering, draped in silver armor that shimmered like molten mercury, her crown of neural filaments pulsing with each syllable. Your species stands accused of territorial aggression in violation of the expansion accords. You have colonized 3 unregistered systems in Imperial Protectorate space. How do you plead? Her words hung like blades in the cold air. Ward raised his eyes. We plead survival, he said simply. A ripple of murmurs passed through the tiers. The Val'karr delegation hissed. The translator drones word. The Empress tilted her head, her lips curling in amusement. Survival? You are primitives playing with stolen fire. We granted your kind access to the stars, and this is how you repay the Dominion's benevolence. Ward's jaw tensed. He had heard the same tone before, colonial governors, corporate CEOs, generals who thought power made them gods. You didn't grant us anything, he said quietly. You just didn't notice us until we were big enough to be inconvenient. Gasps. Several delegates turned away, unwilling to witness a creature so fragile daring to speak so plainly. The Empress rose, her cloak unfurling like the wings of a solar flare. Then let the record show, the Val'karr Dominion hereby declares war on the Human Confederation of Sol. You will be pacified, your colonies dismantled, your worlds brought to heel. Silence crashed down like gravity. Ward didn't flinch. He didn't look shocked or afraid. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out an old-fashioned cigarette, the kind outlawed in most star systems, and struck a match. The flame's tiny hiss sounded impossibly loud in the chamber. He took a slow drag. The smoke curled upward, a faint gray ghost rising through the sterile light. Every sensor, every lens, every watchful eye turned to him. He smirked. Just a small, tired curve of the mouth, the kind that said, I've seen worse. Then, with the cigarette still burning between his fingers, he said, You'll regret that. No roar. No threats. Just calm certainty. The Empress blinked, momentarily off script. Regret, she echoed, voice sharp. You dare. But Ward was already walking toward the exit. The guard stepped aside, uncertain whether to restrain or salute. His shoes echoed against the crystal floor. Behind him, 1,000 alien voices erupted, outrage, disbelief, mockery. The word primitive was repeated in dozens of tongues. The chamber's AI archivist flagged the moment for historical record, the human response to Imperial declaration of war, non-compliant. Ward didn't look back. Outside, the forum's airlock opened to a viewing corridor, offering a panorama of the stars, endless, pitiless, beautiful. He watched them for a moment, exhaling a thin stream of smoke that fogged against the glass before fading into nothing. He whispered, more to himself than to the empty corridor, You don't know what you've started. Somewhere deep in his coat pocket, his wrist communicator flickered. A secure transmission awaited, a message from the United Earth Defense Council. 3 words blinked on the screen. They declared war. Ward typed back. Good. So did we. He put the cigarette between his lips again and walked toward the docking bay, where his transport awaited, a ship too small, too old, too human among the gleaming craft of the stars. But it would do. The smirk still lingered on his face as the airlock sealed behind him. Far above, in the chamber he had just left, the most powerful empire in the galaxy congratulated itself on the swift destruction of an insignificant species. They didn't yet understand. No one did. Humanity didn't lose wars. They learned from them. And the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. the spark before the fire. The sky over New Geneva was blood-red with the reflection of the orbital foundries. Dozens of half-finished ships drifted in the upper atmosphere like steel skeletons, each one a desperate promise hammered together in vacuum and hope. Captain Elias Ward stood on the observation deck of the United Earth Defense Council headquarters, hands clasped behind his back. Below him, the planet spun, a patchwork of light and scars. Humanity had finally united, but only because extinction left no room for argument. The chamber behind him buzzed with the low murmur of urgency. Generals, engineers, and analysts filled the amphitheater, projecting maps of enemy fleet movements onto translucent displays. The Val'karr Armada was already on the move, hundreds of dreadnoughts crossing the void toward Sol. At the center table sat Admiral Kira Voss, head of Earth's orbital defense. Her uniform was immaculate, but her eyes were hollow. "They've mobilized 6 battle groups," she said, "each larger than our entire navy. Their AI intercepts predict total planetary occupation within 60 days. 50, corrected Dr. Chen, the Defense Ministry's chief strategist. If their warp corridors hold stable." Ward took a slow drag from the cigarette hanging between his fingers, a habit the Council had long since given up trying to break. "Then we'd better make sure they don't." Dozens of eyes turned toward him. The Admiral frowned. "You've seen the projections. Even if we triple ship output, even if we conscript every colony militia." Ward cut her off. "We're not fighting a numbers game. We never were." He flicked the ash into a holographic model of Sol, the tiny ember falling across the digital orbit of Mars. "We don't need to win a war. We just need to make them bleed hard enough that they rethink the cost." Chin looked uneasy. "You're suggesting asymmetric warfare against a civilization that spans 4 galaxies." Ward's smirk was faint but sharp. "I'm suggesting we remind them what a cornered animal looks like." The room fell silent. He turned toward the display, tapping commands that unfolded a classified schematic, Operation Prometheus. The hologram flickered to life. Networks of sleeper satellites, AI-driven hacking drones, nanotech warheads, and stealth missile swarms designed to piggyback on enemy supply routes. "Phase 1, Ward said. "We don't fight them head-on. We hit their logistics, blind their sensors, turn their own systems against them. Every battle they win costs them twice as much in resources. Phase 2, the Ghost Fleet. We retrofit civilian freighters with stealth plating and automated weapons. Let the Val'karr chase phantoms while our real fleets regroup. Phase 3, he paused, eyes narrowing. We make them fear us." The words hung heavy. General Voss finally spoke, voice cold. "You're proposing total war. No quarter, no treaties." Ward exhaled smoke toward the ceiling. "They declared extermination. I'm just giving them a fair fight." No one argued. Not because they agreed, but because they had no alternative. 3 days later, the first transmission from the front lines arrived. The Val'karr fleet had entered the Alpha Centauri system and annihilated the colony in hours. 500,000 dead. But buried in the data feed was something else, a glitch in the Val'karr transmission array, spreading through their comm relays like a virus. Within hours, entire battle groups began reporting malfunctions, navigation systems rewriting coordinates, targeting AIs turning against their own ships. The Empire believed it was a software failure. It wasn't. It was Prometheus. Ward watched the data stream unfold from the command bunker beneath the Geneva Spire. The holographic feed showed the first Val'karr dreadnought tearing itself apart under its own automated defenses. He didn't smile this time. He just took another drag and whispered, "Lesson 1, don't bring gods to a knife fight." Voss approached from behind, eyes fixed on the screen. "You realize this is going to enrage them." "They were already enraged," Ward said. "Now they'll be afraid too." By the end of the week, the Empire's propaganda feeds called humanity terrorists. By the end of the month, their forward bases began falling silent, one by one. No one knew where the attacks came from, drones, viruses, sabotage, only that the humans were everywhere and nowhere. The galaxy watched, waiting for the inevitable collapse of Earth. Instead, they saw the unthinkable, a small, broken species forcing an empire to stumble. And somewhere, aboard a darkened command ship orbiting Luna, Elias Ward watched the stars beyond the glass, the ember of his cigarette glowing like a promise. "Sparks lit," he murmured. "Now let's see what burns. Ashes and iron." The war had become a storm, one that raged across the stars with the fury of a cornered species refusing to die. For 3 months, the Val'karr Empire had unleashed its armadas on human worlds. The colony at Vega Prime burned for 8 days straight, its oceans turned to glass. The mining rings of Titan fell silent, their inhabitants gone, whether evacuated or vaporized, no one could tell. Every victory for the Empire came with a whisper of something wrong, ghost signals in their comms, ships vanishing mid-jump, weapon arrays that refused to fire. No one could explain it. Ward didn't try. From the command deck of the UED Resolute, now humanity's flagship, Captain Elias Ward watched the tactical displays bloom with crimson and blue, enemy fleets and friendly decoys dancing across a map of Orion's edge. Around him, officers murmured over encrypted comms, voices steady but eyes hollow. Sleep was a luxury none of them remembered. "How many colonies remain operational?" Ward asked without turning. Lieutenant Mara Sato's voice cracked slightly as she answered. 27, sir. Mostly underground now. Civilian evacuation ships are en route to Luna, but the Empire's closing in fast. Ward nodded once. "Then we'll make them earn every kilometer." He zoomed the tactical map outward. The Val'karr front line stretched like a noose, tightening around Sol. But nestled within the chaos were dozens of blinking markers, human ships that shouldn't exist. Frankenstein fleets. Every vessel was a patchwork of scavenged hulls and jury-rigged alien tech, welded together by engineers who slept beside reactors and ate recycled protein paste. There was nothing elegant about them, asymmetrical, scarred, ugly, but alive. A reflection of the species that built them. The Resolute's comm screen flickered, and Admiral Kira Voss appeared, her face ghostly through static. "Ward," she said, "we've confirmed what you suspected. The Empire's using quantum AI cores to coordinate their fleets. Our virus is spreading, but they're adapting." "They always adapt," Ward said, his tone unreadable. "So do we." He turned to the ship's AI node, a spherical construct glowing with pale blue light. "Athena, status of Operation Scarecrow?" The AI's voice was calm, feminine, eerily human. "2/3 complete, Captain. Decoy fleets have deployed across 6 sectors. Val'karr tracking systems are now chasing phantom signals projected from derelict asteroids." Ward allowed himself the faintest smirk. "Good. Let's see how long it takes before they start shooting at shadows." Athena paused. "Casualty estimates suggest over 12 million dead across all fronts. Civilian losses continue to escalate." Ward's jaw tightened. He took a slow breath. "Log it. Mourn them later. Right now, we finish this." Hours later, as the Resolute drifted in the shadow of a dead star, the fleet awaited the Val'karr Armada. Humanity's last stand, or so the Empire believed. The comms officer whispered, "Enemy fleet emerging from warp. 500 vessels. They've locked trajectory on our position." Ward lit a cigarette, the ember flaring in the dim light of the bridge. "Patch me through to all ships." The channel crackled open, and his voice carried across 1,000 hulls, to every frightened soul staring into the abyss. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You already know what's coming. They think this ends tonight. They think we'll break like every world before us." He took a drag, exhaled smoke, and continued. "They're wrong. They've forgotten the one thing that made us dangerous long before we ever left Earth. We adapt. We learn. We endure. So when they arrive, show them who we are." He paused, then said softly, "Light them up." The void erupted. The human fleet moved with savage precision, decoy signals folding into real ships, hacked Imperial drones turning on their masters. EMP bursts crippled the first wave. The rest met a barrage of improvised railguns, plasma coils, and nuclear shells that split the darkness like lightning. The Val'karr fired back, their weapons carving through human hulls like paper. The Resolute shuddered under impact after impact, alarms screaming. Ward gripped the railing, smoke curling from his cigarette. "Athena," he said calmly, "ignite the debris field." A flash, then a chain reaction of dormant warheads hidden among the wreckage. The entire starfield became a minefield. Imperial ships detonated one after another, torn apart by invisible fire. For a long moment, the tactical display filled with red, then silence. Voss's voice came through faintly. "You did it, Elias. They're retreating." Ward stared at the screen, eyes empty. "No," he said quietly. "They're regrouping. But now they know we can hurt them." He crushed the cigarette in the ash-tray beside the command chair. The metal hissed. "Signal all surviving ships," he ordered. "We move to Phase 4. If the Empire wants to burn us out, we'll drag them into the fire with us." Outside the viewport, the wreckage of 1,000 ships drifted, human and alien alike. Ashes and iron, scattered across the stars. And somewhere in that silence, humanity's will burn brighter than ever. This is the finale. Tense, cinematic, and resolute, a clear, focused HFY conclusion at about 700 words. The smirk returns. The war had burned for nearly a year. Entire systems lay in ruin, reduced to cinders orbiting dead suns. The Val'karr Empire still possessed fleets that could blot out the sky, but their arrogance had cracked. They were no longer fighting a primitive species. They were fighting humans. And humanity refused to die quietly. The Celestial Forum had not convened since the first declaration of war. Now, for the first time in a year, its colossal halls glowed once more, a gathering of weary empires and frightened species who had witnessed the impossible, the Dominion bleeding. The Empress of the Val'karr sat upon her throne of silver veins, her armor dulled and scarred from months of war. Her eyes burned with fury and disbelief. At the chamber's center, the doors opened with a slow, echoing hiss. Captain Elias Ward stepped through. He wore the same dark suit as before, though now it was patched at the shoulder, the fabric burned in places. His face was harder, older. The faint line of a healing scar traced across his cheek. He walked with the same unhurried confidence that had once infuriated an empire. The chamber fell silent. The Empress spoke first, her voice sharp as fractured glass. "Humanity has cost the Dominion over 40 billion lives. You have reduced proud fleets to wreckage and filled our skies with ghosts. Yet you still stand alone. Your worlds are ash. Your colonies crippled. Tell me, Captain Ward, was your defiance worth it?" Ward paused in the center of the chamber, the faint metallic echo of his boots lingering in the quiet. He reached into his pocket, drew out a cigarette, and lit it. The flame's hiss was soft, a memory repeating itself. The smoke curled upward, slow and deliberate. Then he looked up at her and said, "Every second of it." Gasps rippled across the balconies. The same arrogance, the same defiance, but this time it carried weight. The galaxy had seen what those words meant. Ward continued, his voice steady. "You called us primitives. Said we played with stolen fire. You were right about one thing. We do play with fire. We learn from it. We build from it. And when someone tries to take it from us, we make sure they burn." The Empress leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "You think this is victory? You've crippled yourselves for eternity." Ward took another drag. "Maybe. But so have you. Your fleets are in mutiny. Your colonies revolt. Half your vassal races have joined the Free Systems Coalition." He let the words settle, sharp as glass. "You didn't just declare war on humanity. You declared war on the idea that anyone can be free." He exhaled smoke and added, softly, "And you lost." The chamber erupted into chaos, shouting, arguments, and the electric tension of 1,000 species realizing the balance of power had shifted. The Empress rose to her full height, fury boiling over. "You will pay for this insolence. I should have your world erased." Ward met her gaze, calm, unwavering. "You tried." He turned slightly toward the central dais. "I came here today not to surrender, but to end this. Effective immediately, the Dominion's control over the neutral systems will cease. You'll withdraw your fleets. You'll stand trial for war crimes before the new Galactic Council." Her laughter rang cold. "You speak as if you have the power to enforce such demands." Ward smiled faintly, the smirk that had once started a war. "You think we came here alone?" A flicker of light spread across the forum's dome. Then, one by one, the holoprojectors activated, and every screen across the chamber lit up with the same image: the Empress's own throne room, broadcasting live to billions. Her network, her symbol of dominion, hijacked. On every channel, every imperial world, a message played. Ward's voice. The age of empires is over. And behind the message, the human fleet shimmered into orbit above Val'karr Prime, hundreds of ships, patched and battered, but very real. The Empress's expression faltered. Impossible. Ward exhaled smoke and dropped the cigarette to the marble floor. You should have listened when I said you'd regret it. He turned and walked away as security drones surged forward, only to power down mid-step, their systems hijacked by Athena, the human AI. Behind him, the Empress's throne dimmed. The chamber filled not with applause or outrage, but silence, the kind that comes when history changes course. Hours later, Ward stood aboard the Resolute, staring out at the blue marble of Earth through the viewport. The war was over. Humanity had survived. Barely. Admiral Voss approached quietly. "What now?" she asked. Ward's reflection stared back at him in the glass, the faintest ghost of a smile on his lips. "Now," he said, reaching for another cigarette. "Now we rebuild. And maybe this time, we teach the galaxy something better than war." He lit the cigarette, inhaled once, and let the smoke drift toward the stars. Outside, the embers of battle still floated through space, ashes and iron, scattered in the dark. But humanity's flame still burned. And it would never go out.